Good day and welcome to another edition of Insight. Our special guest today is RASHEEDA Shaw, is also known as Lioness Sheeda. She's a writer, poet, teacher, among other things. And today we're going to get an insight as to where her journey has taken her thus far. I know it has taken her to JNN right here, but we're talking about her life's journey. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
Let's get the name things out of the way quickly. RASHEEDA Shaw, that's the slave name.
Yes.
Yes. Lioness RASHEEDA.
Yes, it's just, a sort of empowering name I adapt to remind me, to be fierce, continue to go after my dreams and always defend, the rights for all, everybody in my tribe,
Okay, your tribe. What do you classify as a tribe?
My tribe, my African diaspora people. So, I'm the lioness of the jungle, so that's what I mean.
Yes, okay. We want to get that out of the way. You have written a book of poems, is it?
Yes, I have.
You call. And you name it Nova Turent Torch. Exactly what is the
Nova Turent Torch. So Nova Turent, it describes a powerful change in one's journey. Yes, on one's life situation. So, that just describe my life after graduating from college and wanting to venture and see more, wanting to experience what is out there. So I made that drastic change, move out of Jamaica for a while, and that led me to much further than I could ever imagine then.
Yes. This book is it states a poetic journey to Namibia.
Namibia.
No. How will you pick on Namibia? How did that happen?
Wow. So I was always interested in giving back. It didn't matter where, but as long as, it was where I could meet local needs. So I was looking up volunteer organizations and actually found World Teach, which is an international volunteer organization which partners with governments and other organizations in countries around the world to help meet local needs and promote global citizens and provide those countries with volunteer teachers.
Okay.
So I saw it as a great opportunity to venture out, give back, and travel to Africa.
Okay, the continent of Africa.
Yes.
Give me that sense when you would have decided, saw this, and you applied, if you may, to what was the response like? Give us the nitty-gritty of it.
Well, I did not even actually spent 1 year teaching, and I did not plan that I was going to go 1 year. But actually, after looking at the packages, I saw the program for World Teach Namibia, and this program was actually sponsored by the Namibian government, which made it very affordable for volunteers. Only thing, you have to be under a 1 year contract.
Yes.
So, I'm like, I did not know what to think, because actually I have a daughter, and I was thinking, 1 year away from her.
Yes.
But actually, after doing my research about Namibia and seeing, their need for human resource in terms of, educational skills and such, I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to really experience the motherland on a different level and get to meet the locals and understand where they are coming from, understand and actually feel, to me, it's filling a gap, because this was actually an ancestral mission, because Namibia, it just fell right into my hand. Yes. Meaning I could have went to any other country, but this program, it really, as if the ancestors were just like, this is the country I want you to go, this is where your mission is going to be, and that is how I really felt. So that is how I was able to say, yes, I'm going to decide to go that 1 year and make the sacrifices.
All right, I'm going to ask if I could indulge. There's something you have on the back of this book. Could you just read that for me? Because I suspect
Sure.
that is a lot of people watching now. Those are the questions.
Yes.
That on the back, you read it for me, at the top section there.
Yes, the synopsis of my book. On a mission to follow her soul's journey, she risked it all. Why are you here? They wonder. How is it there? They ask. Lioness trod from the island of her birth to the mainland of her soul. Will they save me? Lioness wonders. Did she ever find her path, her divine purpose? Who knows? What does Lioness think? Novaturian Torch, a poetic journey to Namibia, defines her reality through this poetic, passionate, thought-provoking literature.
Okay. You asked some questions in there. How was it there? How was it there? When the plane landed on the grounds of Africa, what was the feeling that went through your mind?
Well, I actually stepped into Addis Ababa first.
Okay.
So yes, being in the great Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, that I've heard so much about, knowing that it is the homeland of Haile Selassie, Empress Menen, homeland of many Jamaicans actually repatriate. You know, I mean, it was like it's so magical. It was like surreal.
Yes.
You know, I have a video going into the plane, and it was just past excitement because just breathing in that cold, fresh air, I mean, there was nothing strange about it. It was just like, this is home, this is Africa welcomes me. This was the feeling I got, the vibes I got.
And like our forebears, you went there voluntarily, and you left there voluntarily.
Yes.
You weren't putting a ship and sent across
Not at all.
the Atlantic to come here, and therefore it was, I suspect, almost like a circle being completed. Yes. Perhaps I'm describing my own feelings when I landed in Africa. But your first day, you land in Namibia.
Yes.
How was it there? What happened? Give us a sense. What did you do? Give me the story. I want the
Yes,
story.
of course. So my first day landing in Namibia, you know, the World Teach Organization came to meet me and 7 other volunteers.
Were they all from Jamaica?
No.
Okay.
So it was international volunteers. Most of them, I believe all of them were actually Americans.
Okay.
Yes. Out of the 7 of them, only 1 was actually a black female also, but the rest was white females, white males. And it was good because I met those volunteers and we were all excited to start our journey. So for the first 2 weeks, I went into World Teach Orientation, meaning it was just a lot of information about learning about Namibia, learning about the culture there, the history, the people, the customs, what to do, what not to do, what to say. You know, that is what I did for the first 2 weeks, and I got to travel to the city of Windhoek.
Yes.
Yes, and it was a beautiful town. I love it. They have very nice lodges and stays. So it was basically a 2-week vacay while studying.
Yes.
Because after being in Windhoek, actually I finished up my orientation in a town called Swakopmund. So it is a coastal town. Yes, it's very pretty. It is close to the sand dunes. If you ever heard about the sand dunes, that is where the desert meets the sea.
Yes.
So right there was also a spectacular place, you know, as in it's that you're walking out of the desert to the ocean, you know.
What a contrast, right?
Yes, a big contrast.
Yes.
So just that contrast and the environment, the cities were clean, you know. So it was just comforting.
Yes, yes. What did you do in Namibia?
Well, I was a volunteer teacher.
Teaching what?
I was teaching maths, science, and English to grade 5, 6, and 7 students, yes, at a primary school in the village of Kavango West, which is northeast Namibia. It is on the banks of the Kavango River. Yes.
Large river.
Yes, and actually right at the border of Namibia and Angola.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Let me just go off on a tangent here. Are you aware of the history of the struggles, Namibia,
Yes.
Angola, as it relates to South Africa?
Yes.
Yeah, what can you tell me? Have they transformed? Have you still seen the scars of those fights?
Definitely, which made me realize that, you know, this mission was more than me going away to teach. It was really a realization that my ancestors wanted me to see, that we've come so far, yet there is just so much more, so much further that we need to go. And talking about those scars, yes, it's very much evident, especially in the rural areas. Though I must commend the Namibian people, because you would not even know that these things happened just several years ago. They're trying to push past it, and the strength of the people is really admirable, even though they have their daily struggles.
Yes, yes. I'm going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about your experience and we'll perhaps hopefully hear from you reading one of your poems. We'll be right back. Lioness RASHEEDA on The Insight. Welcome back to The Insight, and of course we're speaking to our special guest, Lioness RASHEEDA, who journeyed off to Namibia, felt her ancestors' calling. She wrote about her experiences, and let's start off this segment by giving me one of your poems, and what's the name of it?
Sure. Serving in Africa. All the way from Jamaica, it's a dream come true to give back even if my efforts seem few. I know it means everything to my students when they learn something, the spark in their eyes, the hope they see in their lives. I'm honored to be a part, to lift their minds and heart. It's a blessing to fulfill this destiny. Try my best to give education of quality to who may have been overlooked, many who haven't been given the patience to learn. Therefore, I'm truly grateful to serve as a global citizen through World Teach, for the minds and dreams I've reached. To gain a different perspective can be truly humbling, to see how others have lived, to see what I can give. I've learned a lot, not just how to survive in an African hut, but also how to live a life of humble service. So I give thanks to all who made this reality an achievement of my destiny.
Oh, very well. So you go to the classroom. You've
Yes.
done your two-way vacay as you go about your thing. What were your first impressions when you see fifth graders, fourth graders, sixth graders? What were your impressions of all of that?
Well, knowing the historical context and I know that I was coming to a region that have been deprived of quality education to black children. You know, I'm going into a region with very limited resources. You know, these children, school is not really that important because, you know, life in the village is farming, cattle rearing, fishing, you know, that is life in the village. So going to school, you know, I had to really establish a connection with my students. And how was I going to do that? Because I speak English and that is not their first language.
Okay, what is their first language? Yes.
first language is Rugwangali.
Yes.
Yes.
How do you say hello in Rongali?
Morokeni.
Kenny, okay. And how do you say goodbye?
Ewa.
Ewa, okay. Give me the impression still their schooling is not critical because they have to work on the farms.
It's not that it's not critical, but you will have a lot of students that come to school late, and a lot of them struggle because they start school late because their parents they use them to do a lot of these chores,
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
So instead of sending them to school, they're like, well, I have to get this done now. So a lot of time,
Not a priority.
yeah, exactly. It is
Yes.
not a priority. So a lot of time, they would start school late, and that would just give them a lot of problems, or just being missing classes. Not really seeing the relevance of education to them now because they're in the village. So most times it's about motivating them, and that was the challenge that I had. I had
Yes.
to motivate them to see beyond their village life, to
Yes.
see how they can use education to fix or better their village life.
Yes.
And that is how I, really connected with my students. On the school compound, it was really fun. Fun being that it was just so, it was an open grounds. We have cows, goats, everything just passing through. Anytime you have classes, goats running in. You have the hens running into the class.
Yes.
So yes, it was very entertaining in that sense.
The hens come and the goats come to school
Yes,
to learn.
exactly.
Do you think you made an impression in terms of even one, understanding the importance of being in school most of the times, if not all? Definitely.
The difference I believe I made from the usual volunteers that go to Africa, those of European descent, is that I was able to connect the children with their history. I was able to connect them with a self of identity. And these things are not on the curriculum.
Yes.
These very important things.
Extracurricular.
Exactly.
Yes.
These very important things are overlooked. So, I was able to give my students a lot of Black history. I was able to connect them also with what happened in the Angolan War. Because upon teaching, one of the scars that I realized was left was that my students and a lot of people in the area had a bad perception of Angola. So yes.
Wow.
So even one day, one of my students, he was a 13-year-old boy coming to me just crying. And I'm like, what is the matter? And he comes to me and say, Miss, they're telling me that I come from Angola. And I went to class and they're all laughing, So me being, a Afrocentric teacher from Jamaica, I was able to, squash that foolishness. I was able to educate them about Angola, tell them more about the Angolan War, and update them with what is happening in Angola, because obviously they weren't really aware of the modern city in Angola.
Yes.
Some of them were related to refugees, or they had families that were displaced. So a lot of them come from displacement. So through messages, they only hear about Angola as having war or being a place of terror, famine, nothing. So that really stuck in their head and scarred them to the point that they use it as a mechanism to probably disrespect each other. So being able to give them that history and give them that knowledge that they need to empower themselves, because truly they were descendants of Angolans as well. So to give them that sense of love for their self and their history and their community, you know, it definitely changed them around, changed their attitude, you know.
So tell me, for my own benefit, you had refugees from Angola going into Namibia?
Yes, at the end, in the late, which would be the early 20th century.
Yes, yes.
Yes, there was a war, because you know there was Angolan war being done a long, long time, and then actually in the early 20th century, the Namibian government was supporting some of the Angolan warriors, saying that, you know, you can fight on our grounds.
Okay.
So during that old war, you have people running to Namibia, running inland for a better life, just to be safe, you know, especially women and children. So yes, a lot of displacement happened, especially in the northern regions.
All right, you're Jamaican. Did they know anything about Jamaica over there?
No.
They never heard. They've heard of Bob Marley though.
Exactly. They've heard of Usain Bolt. They'll be like, is that the place? But most persons, they really did not know. They know Jamaica for, like, yes, the music, but if you ask them to show you Jamaica on the map, they had no idea where Jamaica is.
Well, I'm here to tell you that if you were to ask Jamaicans to show you where Namibia on the map is, we could run into some problems too. And that herein lies how we have not understood each other.
Exactly.
And that's part of the scars of slavery.
Exactly.
You know, so how did you have to explain that?
Yes.
How did you, as a black woman, come out of Jamaica to come here?
Definitely, because while in Namibia, all the while people were asking me, what is my tribe? Yes, and I was just like, I don't know my tribe. And they were like, what do you mean you don't know your tribe? And I had to explain about the slave trade.
Yes.
And yes, you'll be surprised how many of them are unaware of the slave trade.
Wow, it's not taught in their history?
No, they mostly teach Namibian history, you know, the war with the Germans and South African, but mostly that.
So, did they get starry-eyed and said, what, really? What's going on, when you're telling them how...
Yeah, so some of them are still in disbelief, like, you must know your tribe, like, like what? Or then some of them is just like coming to reality and it's like, oh, wow. Okay. You know? Yes, most of them just thought I'm from America also.
Okay, and you also would have to share with them how Americans, being black, ended up in America. So,
exactly.
Same history. Do you remember or do you recall any student that you will always have in your mind, and why?
Definitely.
Why?
I have at least 3 children. Their names are Augusto, Maria, and I'll tell you one of my other students before I finish. Yeah. But yes, because they're brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant in the sense that there's so many socio-economic struggles and they're able to pass those barriers and love school so much to be willing to educate themselves and, you know, pass those statistics. Because, like, most of their classmates are not English speakers, and actually the medium of instruction is English.
Okay.
Yes. So actually, they actually go out of their way to learn English, sometimes by speaking to persons in English or listening to the radio in English, and that helps them to be a better student.
Yes,
and they are very self-motivated. So yes, I cannot forget them because they are just so smart. With their limited resources, you just not believe. Oh, I'm really impressed by them.
Okay, I'm gonna take a break. I'm so far impressed by you in terms of what you've been doing. RASHEEDA Shaw is her name. Lioness Sheeda. She took her journey to Namibia, and we're getting some insight as to what it is like on that side of the motherland. We'll be right back on Insight. We are speaking to a lioness, RASHEEDA. In case you know her otherwise, she's RASHEEDA Shaw. And she went off to the motherland, Namibia to be exact, where she taught students. But we spoke to education and how in that village, in a lot of homes, it was not priority. And I'm sure as a teacher she would agree with me that liberation can only come through education. There has to be an intervention, and that must be education. And she has written, and I'm going to be pressuring again to read another about African liberation.
Yes. African Liberation Days. We've been in survival mode so long we fail to move, access our true possibilities. Uplifting each other is the way forward, onward. Our days gonna be better days. They might oppress us, depress us. We stay rising from our shackles. Dust the rust off because I'm oiled for life. That coconut oil, shea butter and cocoa butter. Have my melanin shining, my power rising. It's a birthright I've inherited, and there is no depths to where I will be diving, no heights to where I will be flying, accomplishing what must and what will. The rags to riches be our bedtime stories, stories of glory, glory kingdoms reign when the hard days have melted. With the might of our freedom fighters, so we trample. Never again shall we stumble.
Thank you very much. Not many Jamaicans get to go to Namibia. What was your overall impression like of the place, and what would you tell Jamaicans who are going there to look out for or not to look out for?
Okay, sure. So the overall impression of Namibia was that it is vast with a lot. It just has a lot of land mass, different landscapes, land scenery. You have vegetations, but then you have the desert parts. So, and you also have wild animals. So if you're a Jamaican and you're interested in seeing wild animals like elephants, giraffes, you know, Namibia is the place to go.
They're not on a Sahara, or they walk
Yes, most of them are on most of them are in national parks.
Okay.
But also, actually, where I was in the village, you have to have warning signs for elephants and those things because, yes, they do still travel. You have a lot of free wild animals that still
Any
roam
lions
about.
to meet the lioness?
No, they're in the parks.
They're in the parks, okay.
Yes, but long ago there used to be lions, and they used to tell me a lot of stories with these lions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and actually, yeah, those times, I mean, to me, well, while it would be scary for them, it was very fun for me.
Oh, okay.
Because one day there was elephants passing through the village. And everybody's so nervous because the elephants, they eat their crops. They
can knock down anything that's weak.
Exactly. The big tree, they would just rip it out. So they're scared. And the kids, what they do, they would drum. So they still use the drums to chase away the elephants. So in the night, the kids are drumming. And to me, it was just a lot of fun. You know, they're drumming away the elephants and everybody is laughing and just enjoying the whole process, you know. And that is Namibia. You have the village life, you have the town life, and if you cannot take the village or the town life, you have the city life. And the Windhoek city is very developed. You know, you have very nice malls, very nice restaurants, you know, entertainment. You know, one of my favorite places was the Warehouse Theater because it brings acoustic music and artists from all over the world. Okay. It's a place where I met a lot of volunteers because Namibia is a country that hosts a lot of volunteers and tourists. Yes. So I met people from all over the world that were on different missions, but they were like great global. Yes. They were making great.
But Jamaica has sent police personnel there in the past.
Personnel?
Yeah, to Namibia. and they've worked with them as volunteers, got time off from the JCF, and off to Namibia they went, couple of them. So were there any other Jamaicans there?
Well, actually, I was there around the time that our Prime Minister, Honorable Andrew Holness, went to visit Namibia last July.
Okay.
Yes, so being that he hosted a meeting with the Jamaican and Caribbean community, but up until that point, I had not met anybody else from the Caribbean community, but going to that meeting, yes, I met a few more Jamaicans and people from around the Caribbean. I met a Jamaican that actually owns his own airplane. Airplane.
Yes, very well.
So, I mean, yes, and I connect with a lot of other Jamaicans that actually were traveling, but not a lot. So I should say around 3. Yes.
That's 3 in that part of the woods a lot.
Exactly,
Yes.
it is a lot.
So we've always heard everywhere you look Jamaican did it.
Yes.
So that's a thing.
Yes, and actually coming back, I met, I forgot his name, but I met a founding father of the Namibian University, and he was also a Jamaican. So Jamaicans are over there helping to build up in education too,
Yes.
especially in the universities.
Yes. You what did you teach?
Yes, so I said I taught English as a second language. Yes, and I taught mathematics and science. Okay, so I had different levels. Sometimes it was grade 6 maths, grade 5 science, grade 7 English.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. How difficult? We've always said English is a very difficult language. How did they grasp it quickly? Did they show good signs, or just like I'll wait until the bell rings?
Well, honestly, from the feedback I even got from the head boy Augusto, because after it, they Africa, they have to have a big going away party and everything, and he wrote a letter, and in his letter he was saying that when I first came, they were all nervous, saying that they did not know how they would understand me, how it would go, but they said that while I'm leaving now and everybody can understand English much better, or I've shown a lot of improvement in communicating in English, which is true. And I guess being there, it really challenged them, and it challenged myself. But thanks to World Teach, I was prepared, because there's there's a process and there's a method, and using the communicative language and nonverbal cues. Yes, I was prepared, but of course the language barrier did prevent us in some ways, but I got very creative. I used my laptop to show them, to communicate with them, and a lot of them showed a lot of improvements, because when I first came, most of them could hardly write a sentence in English. Going away, I got so many letters, paragraphs
In English.
paragraphs in English tell me how they're going to miss me, what they loved about me, and I was very happy to see that.
You wear dreads, locks,
Yes.
or whatever you want to call it. How did that get across to them?
Yes. Well, Namibia is a highly colonized Christian country.
Yes.
So to them, dreads is not so appealing.
Yes.
Yes, but my students were very curious about it. They always ask me about it. So I use that time to educate them about our hair. You know why? Because actually it is mandatory that they get their hair shaved off, the boys and the girls. So while being
Hold on, back up again. The boys and the girls alike had to shave off their hair?
Yes.
Oh, you ask why?
Just school rule from those colonial days, regimes that they haven't brushed off the books.
My gosh.
Yes, and it really is sad, because these children would be punished for not shaving off their hair. And but as I said, I use this time to educate them about their 9 ether air, and saying that it helps us to, you know, connect with God and connect with our higher powers, and our air is our strength, you know. And before leaving, there was a few of my students that were adamant that they were not cutting their hair. They, you know, they kept grooming it and keeping it down, especially one of the girls. And I could see that she was determined that nobody is going to let her cut her hair again. I hope they did not pressure them or punish them, because, you know, in the village, it's like, it's filled with a lot of rules, because they act like they have a lot of conservative rules. But I believe those systems just came from, you know, the colonial governments, you know, and being in power and such.
Tell me, it being a part of the colonial process, you know, the Germanies and the wherever was there, do you see the same system where the white people have the better homes? Do you still, to what extent, I'm asking, is the colonial system still embedded?
The extent goes to the towns that you're in. You know, in the city, it will look like everybody has equal opportunities and all is right. But then when you really go into the native towns, you can obviously see that they have not a high quality of life compared to the white towns, because in Namibia you have a lot of big white farms, and as I tell you, Swakopmund, the coastal town, it is known for like being an area where German expats settled. So you can see a huge difference in the quality of life. You know, sometimes, but then you have black Namibians that are living like a very nice, high quality of life. So as I say, it really depends where in the country you are. It's like different levels, different regions.
All right. We're going to take a break from Insight, and we'll be back with the last section. We're going to find out who on earth is Lioness Sheeda. We know her works now, but who is she? What led her to this? We'll be right back on Insight. Welcome back to Insight. Lioness Sheeda is our special guest, and give me a sense of where you were born, which school you went to. You said you went to college. Fill me in with it.
Definitely. So I grew up in Spanish Town, Jamaica, right on Ensom Avenue. So yeah, I grew up in Ensom City. I went to St. Catherine Prep School. So my parents moved from the country. So I grew up in a pretty normal Christian middle class household. After GSAT, I went to St. Andrew High. You know, after graduating grade 11, you know, I was actually ready to just leave high school. So I went straight to Northern Caribbean University and started studying for a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, which I completed in 2015.
Okay, you're an NCU graduate.
Yes.
Okay. We missed each other along the way. Used to teach there.
Yes, I remember actually.
You remember?
Yeah, yes, I remember. You were doing something up there around that time, around between 2011 2015.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. There you go. But what was life coming up like? Was it challenging for you? Was it I'm getting a sense of where did you get this outward look to want to take off?
No, it wasn't challenging, because I give thanks to my two hardworking parents that always ensure that I had my education. You know, they sent me to the best schools to ensure that, you know, I could uplift myself. So I started reading at an early age, and I wasn't just reading little stories. I was reading the newspaper. I was interested in watching news, you know, yes, right at a primary age. And that passion, you know, to be in the be politically aware and socially aware grew. And it also grew from, you know, watching TV, the geography, and even seeing what's happening around the world, especially in Africa. Because while growing up at that age, I used to see those, you know, starving children, those advertisements. And to this day, I believe, you know, it scarred me because I used to always think, like, what's happening, you know, who is helping them, why are they showing advertisement like this? So, you know, ever since I was very passionate to give back, you know, give back to those in need, and especially to the ones in the motherland, you know, especially after learning about the different wars that they've gone through and what really took place over there, you know, slicing the cake and just treating them as, you know, mere cattle.
Yes. You got this awareness from early, but you went on a path where you had the outward manifestation of a different religious belief.
Exactly.
So that don't mix with NCU.
Exactly. During, I mean, it was always there, and I was always politically aware, but yes, during NCU, you know, I met my child's father, and we started to do a lot of reading about, you know, Egyptology, you know, yes, and I started to learn more about the black movements all across the world. And, you know, a lot of, right then and there, a lot of things made sense to me. And it was just that too, it's about learning what I was learning in criminal justice. Because I was learning about history and these criminal justice systems, and just like how blacks were denied a poor quality of life, you know, the system was there to trap them. Most black persons who end up in jail, you know, they are, you know, targeted, or they don't have any resources to go forth for better opportunities or make better for themselves. So, you know, a lot of them get caught in the trap and the matrix. And, you know, being aware of this, I became so passionate to, you know, break out of the matrix and inspire others that, you know, it's by supporting each other, community, uplifting, we can create opportunities for ourselves that we don't even see. Because if we continue to rely on that same system that sets a trap for us, we're just walking towards the trap. So I was just determined to see the other side, you know, and step outside of that box. And that is what happened at NCU. Yeah, I mean, some of my lecturers, and they were wondering, oh, what is happening with RASHEEDA? But I mean, I kept a profile, so they were just like, well, she's just finding her path.
And have you found your path?
Yes, but you know, it goes on, because right now I'm a tutor, and yes, I do love educating, but I also want to continue to travel and continue to give back, especially in the motherland. There's so much to learn in the motherland. When you go to the motherland and learn about the history and learn about how Jamaicans have contributed to, you know, to the liberation in Africa and our role. Like, I mean, this is our duty. This is our duty, and, you know, a lot of things that goes on in the motherland, you know, we have that sight, because, you know, we're over here in the new world.
Yes.
You know, we have that sight to see beyond and come and help and give the human resources which they need and contribute to those skills. And we also can learn a lot from them as well. And I think, you know, we're all pieces of the puzzles. And, you know, when the Caribbean and the motherland connect, you know, we won't be having all of this oppression anymore, you know.
Yes. What's your take on reparation? You know, should our colonial masters pay up?
Yes, just like how they paid the white planters. But, I mean, like, I'm not looking to them for reparations. You know, there's a quote in this book that says, living true is my reparation. Because in the sense that, of course, but I'm not going to sit down and wait and say, okay, I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to go back to Africa until they give me my $100,000 plane ticket. Like nothing is going to go on if, you know, I'm not going to sit down and wait for reparations, you know. I'm going to...
Your reparation is what?
I'm going to create the opportunities, living true.
Can you find that? Find that. You know, this book of poetry you put together, and the issue of reparation is critical as it relates to, should we be compensated? Should we, you know, when slavery had ended, they paid the farmers insurance, and those who worked on the farm, they didn't do the same. Not finding it? No, don't worry yourself about that. When you were about to take off to Namibia, what people said to you? You found it?
Yes.
Yeah, read that part.
Okay. So it says, old soul rising above atrocities, young soul dying for healing. I've got to be my salvation. Living true is my reparations.
Okay. Okay. But that's education to understand and to become wise to one. But the question I have on the board for you is, when you said you were going after Namibia, most people don't even know about Namibia and Jamaica. What did the family say to you about you going to do it?
Yeah, okay, I was nervous about telling my parents, so I told them like right before I left. What everybody else, you know, because I was seeking support, and I did not get that much of a support that I needed. You know, a few were encouraging, especially my sister, who is a doctor, Jodine Tafari, because she's a doctor and she has young children, and I'm like, how did you manage to, you know, go away? And she said, you know, it's the mission, and you know, if you have a mission, just step through, sort out your daughter, and it will be okay. And that, you know, I trusted her words, and I followed through on that. Though some people were criticizing about dance a yard before you dance abroad. I don't know where Jamaicans get this, when we are literally the pearl of Africa. People around the African diaspora, they always look to Jamaica for the latest trend. What is happening? It's about time Jamaicans know that they are world leaders. We are world leaders, you know. And I did teach before in Jamaica. I was teaching at the Kemet Masai Academy, which is an Afrocentric private school.
Okay.
Yes, so having that knowledge, you know, I wanted to set forth and go out in the world, and you know, I do appreciate that support I got, though I wish it was more, because some people saying I should be more established and all of that. But you know, Africa is established. You know, we really don't need to bring anything to Africa than our skills and our human resource.
Yes, indeed. What's the future for you, Lioness Rasheeda?
The future for me, you know, my destiny can't just go anywhere, but truly, you know, I'm building my personal brand, a Lioness Love. As I told you, you know, I'm a world teacher. I'm a mentor. I'm a poet, I'm an author. This book actually is self-published.
Self-published,
yes. So I did it through Amazon, you know. I'm a very handy person, you know. I actually built my own website.
Can you hold up that book for me so that my cameraman can get a shot of that book? Because describe what's on the cover there. What's I see the Jamaican flag, yes.
Nova Touring Torch. So yes, so this is me. I'm not being a savior, but I'm just on my ancestral journey, going from Jamaica and to Namibia, you know, and further I plan to take the torch right across Africa.
Okay, so you want to go back to Africa?
Yes.
Yes.
But actually, I'm actually working and developing some businesses on my own. Such
You're an
as,
entrepreneur as well.
yes, such as the Tulanga Academy, which is an online school right now, which I plan to take back to Africa.
Yes.
So I'm in the process of gathering resources for that, and also building a exchange skills company which benefits more Caribbean and African people.
How do you say all the best to you in the Namibian language?
I wish I could tell you. I did not get all that deep into the Bantu language.
Yeah. What's the closest you can come to say goodbye, have a good day?
Ewa, pandu, pandu, pandu.
Oh,
Pandu means thank you.
Umpandu means thank you. You learned enough to have a conversation with people?
No, I learned enough to just listen and understand, because yes, I was just still in that stage of the listening. I can communicate in few
Yes.
needed words.
Yes.
But yes, that I'm still at the listening stage of the Bantu language.
Okay, all right. I want to thank you, and you can tell me in that language.
Mpandu.
Umpandu.
Yes.
A Jamaican who has made her journey to the motherland in Namibia.
My contact.
And we understand how important that is as it relates, it's reaching out to our people, because they might be unaware of us, but we have gotten the opportunity to be aware of them. And it starts with one.
Okay.
So we want to wish her all the best, and hopefully we'll see her again soon when she started up this business and doing all that well. And you can get this book on Amazon.
Yes, you can get it on Amazon. You can follow me on Instagram, Legendary Lioness, 3S at the end. You know, I'm on YouTube, so you can see footage of my journey. That is Legendary Lioness on YouTube. You can follow my Facebook, Lioness Sheeda. Yes, and you'll find more information there. Just Google Lioness Sheeda or Rasheeda Shaw. Yeah, I'll pop up and just keep in contact.
Nice. You'll just pop up. Thank you for popping up here, as we really enjoyed your gift that you've been giving, and just hoping that you have many more years to give even much more. And so that's it from Insight. Pleasant viewing.